Hey everybody, what is going on? So in this section, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the human subconscious. Now, how does this human subconscious work and how is it related to sales? Well, let's explain what the human subconscious is, and then we're going to dive into why this is important for you to understand. Now, the human mind, you can kind of separate it into two main areas. This is somewhat generalizing, but essentially it's going to give you a basis of how this works. Now, we have something called a conscious mind, and this is our mind where we are actively aware of what's going on around us, our feelings, how we feel, and how we're interacting with other people. Now, on the other end, you have something called a subconscious mind. This is essentially every part of a human being's mind where they are processing large amounts of information from things they see, hear, smell, things like that, and they're processing it in their brain and they're trying to make sense of everything. But the thing is, they're not really aware that this is happening. So one of the lessons that we taught throughout this course is that people buy emotionally and they're going to justify their decision logically. So as sellers, what we have to do is we have to appeal to another person's emotion. And how we do that is we're going to appeal to their subconscious mind, meaning this mind that processes all this information. And then from there, people are going to want to buy whatever it is that you have emotionally. And then consciously, they're going to make up reasons with logic on why that decision makes sense. So with that said, the question here is, how does the subconscious mind even work and how can we influence it as sellers? Well, let's go ahead and break this down. Everybody has an environment or the world that they live their life in and they experience, right? So that is going to represent the world. And here you have a human being, and right now we're only going to look at their subconscious mind, meaning this is the part of the brain that is going to process large amount of information without the person really realizing that what's happening. So essentially how a person lives is that there's five senses essentially that people experience: sight, smell, hearing, taste, and touch. So this is all information that a person experiences from the external world, and their brain is going to process all of this information and they'll try to make sense of it, right? So it filters all the information that it believes is important, then it compares to past experience, meaning that a human being cannot understand if something is hot unless they understand what cold is, right? And that's essentially how the human mind works. Something can't be hot unless it's cold. Something can't be fat unless it's skinny. Something can't be large unless there's something that's small, right? So there needs to be some type of comparison. And number three, this is how essentially human beings all make sense of the world. So no matter who we are, we all do process information in this way where we're just filtering information, trying to make sense of it so that eventually we can take an action. So selling is all about motivating people to take some type of action. And how we do that is we are going to give this person information, feed them certain things, the way we look, how we dress, what we say. All this information is going to influence someone's subconscious mind, and then they're going to filter all this information, and then they're going to make a decision. Should I buy from this person or not? And how you want to think about it is these are cause and effect relationships, right? This is very popular in science where you put some kind of cause, meaning you have some kind of input, it goes through the brain, and then you have some type of output. So by controlling the inputs, meaning as a seller, you are controlling how people perceive the world, from how you act, how you shake their hand, what you're saying, and how nice you are, and how much they trust you. All these different elements are inputs that influences a subconscious mind, and then from there, they're going to make sense of, do I trust this person? Do I like this person? Do I think this person is bringing me value? And then by the end of their filtering of all that information and processing all of it, they are going to take an action. And obviously the desired output that you want this person to have is to buy your product or service. In a nutshell, that is essentially how the human subconscious works when it comes to cause and effect relationships. So in this situation, it's pretty clear that as sellers, we have the power to influence what information someone sees and intakes and processes in their mind. So when you're thinking about selling, it's not just about being a charismatic person. From a scientific level, it's how do you influence this subconscious mind to get this person to emotionally buy? Now, over time, what you'll find in sales is that people are more predictable than you think. Obviously, everybody has their own unique experiences, and everyone is their own unique person in a sense. However, you can find common patterns that almost is applicable to 99% of human beings. So once you understand what these patterns are, you can kind of take them through your formula so that you'll be able to close consistent deals. An example of that is, a certain way you ask a question or a certain way you pitch your product or service. You're going to find that most people will react in a similar way. So if you did a really great job in pitching your product a certain way, chances are when you pitch it to like 10 different people, people doing it the same exact way, they all will like it. In the reverse hand, if you pitch your product or service in a way that's really not good and people are not receptive, if you pitch that to 10 or 20 people, you'll probably find that most people will react the same and they won't buy your product or service. And so that's what I mean by that predictability factor in humans. Everyone is unique. However, these are these patterns that you got to see in sales. And once you understand the patterns and you're able to consistently replicate them, you're going to be able to consistently close deals. And that's why I think of sales as an art and a science, where there is an art aspect where you have your own style and how you say things and do things. However, you can apply these sales formulas in how you're pitching, how you're asking questions, how you're taking someone through your sales cycle and get them to close predictably. So that's why there's this art and science of sales. And it's not just sales. You can look at music or movies, where movies, for sure, there is an art element to it to craft a great movie. However, you'll find that when you really dissect the elements of a movie, there is a formula where there's a beginning, a middle, and end. The beginning happens a certain way to capture someone's attention, middle and end, which progresses the story. And you'll find that if you do a little more research, it's very formulaic, even though there's this artistic aspect to it. Same with music, where if you want to create a hit on the top charts, well, there's this music element where there's an artistry where not everybody can do it. At the same time, you'll find that a lot of the songs that do end up in the top charts follow a certain formula where there's a certain time length, they have a chorus and verse and things like that. So there's an art and science to a lot of things when it comes to creating content or even trying to sell someone your product or service. So this is where I want you to think about how you can make sales fun, because a lot of people see sales as something that, oh, I gotta sell, I gotta, make money, and they come off sleazy and things like that. And that's exactly where you don't want to be. You want to see it almost like a game, but more serious, where you're actually making money from it. So have that artistic element of self-expression, really express who you are and why you're passionate about your product or service. And then on top of that, add this element of science where you're creating a formula and you know that people are a lot more predictable than you think, and you can have fun consistently closing deals. So with that said, that's everything we have to cover when it comes to this lesson in explaining why sales is an art and a science. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next lesson.